welcome to the show today. I'm your host, Tamara Henry. This is In, It's the Only Way Out. Today we have a very special guest. We have Jared Rosen, co-author of The Flip, and he is a vision catalyst. Welcome to the show, Jared. Nice to have you here today.
It's great to be here.
And here on In, we just got back from the iHollywood Forum Hollywood Goes Green Summit, and I brought you a gift. I brought you a recycled water bottle full of some nice cold water, because I knew you were going to...
Some nice recycled water.
Exactly. So, well, thanks for being on the show today. I just wanted to say that I have really enjoyed your book that you wrote. You are the author of The Flip, Turn Your World Around. I met you, gosh, I guess it was a couple of years ago, and you gave me a beautiful quote. We wanted to see that on the screen here. It says, why don't you say it for me?
Tamara Henry is a bright light in the space of mindful media and uplifting entertainment.
By Jared Rosen, and you told that to me a couple of years ago when
bright light.
Lights, camera, action. When I was just embarking upon the journey of this television show, and it meant so much to me for someone else to see, you know, how when we shine the light and see the greatness in one another, and I just wanted to say that it spurred me on to greatness. We're here today, and now you're my guest on the show.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and we have an aligned purpose, which is the upliftment through entertainment and media. We need that.
Yes, and so we've been inspiring one another. And so in terms of your book, The Flip, Turn Your World Around, you co-authored this with David Ripp. Am I saying it right? David Rippey. So what inspired you to write The Flip?
Well, you know, this is really something that goes way back to probably about 20 years ago. I was on a shamanic initiation in the mountains of Peru.
Sounds exciting.
Oh, it was. It was not very easy for me. I went through a lot of hardships in that, and I had a message from the shaman. He actually spoke it in Quechua, and I knew the translation in my head. It's kind of a strange, but I actually knew what he was saying, and was translated as the world that I know is upside down, and that my purpose here is to help turn it right side up. So 25 years later, one day I was actually at a party, and somebody was talking. It was a green builder, and he was talking about how we have to get the traditional builders to flip the way they build the houses. And all of a sudden it clicked for me. What do we call all of this transformational realm? People call it a new paradigm, a new age, all these kinds of words to describe it, spirituality and green. And I figured that the flip was a really great way to describe it, because the flip is a from to. So whether it's from non-renewable to sustainable technology, or in the case of media, from mindless programming to mindful media. So that's flipping the channels, or flipping the switch.
Right.
And I just got all the great people that I was around, and people that I really would love to had a chance to chat with. I got on the phone and started talking. David and I decided we were going to do this book, and I talked to over 50 people. I did most of the interviews, and so people like Daryl Hannah and Ed Begley, and people that are part of the Hollywood Green movement, but as well as people like Oscar Arias, who now is the president, once again, of Costa Rica, talking about what it's like to have a country where there's no military, really to take a look at what the future can be, even in the world of business. People like Ray Anderson, who's the chairman and founder of Interface Carpet, and talking to him about how to create a sustainable corporation. So it's a full range, people in the areas of emotional intelligence and spirituality, people like Byron Katie and John Gray, and people like that. Yeah, I talked to as many people as I could.
Well, I love that story. Like, you were divinely inspired to write this book, and I love how your book is all encompassing. This is kind of like a crash course in life in general, everything from healthcare to emotions to the media to the government to, I mean, there's not a topic in here that you didn't touch on. Every chapter is something different, and you start with showing how bad it is, you know, the state of it, and then you redeem it by turning it around, flipping it around, and showing your vision for how we can correct it and how we can go forward in the future to turn everything around and flip it over. I love this book.
Thank you. And it's really happening. So we're making a case for the fact that there are people in all these sectors, whether they're in the business world or in the realm of entertainment or politics, that really embody the quality of what this flip is. and the logical rationale for making these movements. We see it now, even with Wall Street going into clean tech and saying that this is the future. I mean, we had an information age or information revolution that has given us access to all this information, which is extraordinary. And so we have this information sovereignty, but what we don't have is energy sovereignty. So once we're able to actually sit in our homes and operate everything in our cars without having to be dependent upon not only foreign oil but any grid.
Right.
And so that's a vision of a future that's very possible.
Right.
People like Hunter Lovins and our former husband Amory Lovins, the Rocky Mountain Institute. I mean, they have plans of how we can build a whole integrated type of home and vehicle where you plug the vehicle into the home. So these things are very realistic, but we just have to actually move in this direction and be very committed. But the first flip really is in the way we think. And that's the flip that
right. It all starts with consciousness, right? That's where it all begins. Like in the beginning, there was the word. That's where it all begins, is with the thought, right? If you can think it and you can dream it, then you can live it and have it. So it all begins, like you're saying, with consciousness.
And how we actually how we construct reality. So the first actual flip, in the book, every chapter is a flip. So the flipping your life is from flipped out to flipped in, which of course is a good way to start because most of us are flipped out generally. And then flipping the mind is from separation thinking, division thinking to whole thinking.
Exactly, separation and duality. And we get, like you said, there's so much information and all the duality. And the beautiful thing about it is, like for me, when I get into an emotional time or I get overwhelmed, I think about the flip, and I think that if I'm in a bad situation, I can flip this because of the dualistic nature of the universe. If something is bad that's happening, there must be a good side. Flip it over and look for the good. The Chinese say that wherever there's a crisis, it's actually an opportunity.
Exactly.
That something good is trying to be born through that crisis. So there's always, and I love that, flipping. So I always think about, it's just so easy. Just flip this situation, because there can be no, you can't have day without night. You can't have good without bad. You have to have it all.
But the day actually, if you sped it up, you would see that day becomes night, night becomes day, and night would disappear if you had it in high-speed photography. There would only be day. So really what we're looking at right now, and the flip in the mind from separation-based thinking to whole thinking, really is the next stage of human evolution. So whole thinking, what we're talking about, is seeing that everything is interconnected. So if you pollute the sky in the US, you're polluting the sky in Canada. If there's a nuclear war somewhere, the radiation doesn't know the boundaries. It will cross the boundaries. Everything that's going on right now is driving us. These are evolutionary drivers for us to embrace a new way of being. And it starts within ourselves and really beginning to not separate even what we're doing in this nation right now, blue and red states, to see that really we're one, not only one nation, but in the bigger picture, we're one planet, we're one being, really, on a deeper spiritual level. That even, I talk about this, the final chapter of the book is Flipping the Light, which is really the shift, the flip there is from a God-fearing religion, where God is up there judging the hell out of us. You've done a bad job here and now you're going to be punished. To really a spirituality that sees that everything is interconnected, that whatever spirit is, it's inside of all of us. And this is what keeps us
so we're on the journey to wholeness. So how does a person flip their life?
Oh boy. Well, I think it really starts with, once again, the awareness. And the second flip from flipping the mind really is an emotional flip. And that emotional flip is from emotional resistance to emotional flow. And what I mean by that is when we feel what we call negative emotions, fear, anger, sadness, really, it's the feeling, once again, of separation.